is the story of Ejiro, overwhelmed by deep frustration and despair, feeling trapped by life struggles, and seeking for escape from the unbearable pain. In a quiet village called Emu, there lived a beautiful lady named Ejiro. Ejiro was strikingly beautiful. Her dark skin glowed like polished ebony tree, and her curve swayed gracefully as she walked. Many men had fought for her hand in marriage, but it was Timi, a hardworking farmer, who had won her heart. Timi was known throughout the village for his strength and diligence. From sunrise to sunset, he worked tirelessly on his farm, ensuring his family never lacked food or comfort. He loved Ejiro deeply, showering her with affection and providing her with everything she needed. But the family suffers deeply from Ejiro's laziness. Unlike the other village women, who woke early to fetch water, cook, and tend to their households, Ejiro preferred to sleep late. She despised farm work and household chores, leaving everything for the maid and her husband. She spent most of her time sitting under the mango tree, chatting with her friends, while Timi labored under the scorching sun. My viewers, have you ever seen a family of this nature? Or are you a victim of a similar situation? Let's have your take on the comment section. Trust me, we have a lot to feed you with. Please stick to the end. Their marriage was blessed with 2 children, Ife and Dene. Timi adored his children, but as they grew older, he began to worry about the kind of example Ejiro was setting for them. One evening, after a long day of farm work, Timi returned home. He spotted drenched in sweat and covered in dust as he stepped into the compound. Exhaustion weighed heavily on him, but what greeted him only deepened his frustration. Timi clenched his fist, forcing himself to stay calm. Taking a deep breath, he called out, "Ejiro." She turned lazily, rolling her eyes in irritation. "What is it, Timi?" she asked, clearly annoyed by the interruption. "Have you at least prepared food for the children?" Ejiro leapt at his side, waving her hand dismissively. "Isn't that why we have a maid? What is her duty in the house, if not to cook, take care of the children?" She snapped her voice, raising. Timi's jaw tightened, his heart sinking. Was this truly the woman he had married? He thought within himself. That same night, after finishing his meals in silence, Timi reached for his wife, hoping to share an intimate moment with her. But Ejiro, still foaming from their earlier argument, turned away from him. "Ejiro, come closer," he murmured, his hand gently brushing against for her. She pushed away sharply. "Leave me alone." "Timi, I'm not in the mood." Timi sighed. Frustrated but unwillingly to argue, he turned on his side and closed his eyes, hoping things would be better the next day. Days passed, and Ejiro continued to deny her husband access to her body. A week later, nothing has changed. Each night, Timi reached out, only to be rejected again and again. His frustration grew, but he said nothing. He tried to endure it, but as times went on, his eyes began to turn towards the maid. Ifeoma was a young, hardworking and respectful lady. Everything Ejiro was not. She always prepares meals on time, ensure the children are well fed and taken care of. Unlike his wife, she never raised her voice at him. Slowly, unspoken attraction began to build between them. It all started with stolen glances, accidental touches, and lingering moments of silence between them. One fateful night, While Ejiro slept soundly, Timmy could not sleep. He decided to visit Ifeoma in her hut. He knocked quietly. Ifeoma opened the door, her eyes meeting his understanding. Without a word, she stepped aside, allowing him in, telling her everything he feels and what she stands to gain. No resist, but accepted Timmy. Ever since that night, their secret love affair began. At first, Ejiro did not notice the change. Rather, she was relieved that her husband had stopped disturbing her at night, thinking he had finally learned to respect her mood. Trust me, not every freedom worth having. Obviously, freedom comes with a cost. But as weeks passed, she started sensing something strange. Timmy, who once begged for attention, no longer looked at her with desire. He no longer reached for her in the night, nor did he complain about her rejections. He seemed distant, detached. Ejiro's freedom is now a problem to her. 1 month later, Ejiro could no longer ignore her growing suspicion. Why has Timmy stopped disturbing me? She wondered. He barely spoke to her, nor even asked for food each time he returns from farm. And worst of all, he no longer cared when she raised her voice at him. It was as if he has completely lost interest in her. A thick worry settled in her heart. Could he be seeing another woman? Ejiro couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Timmy and Ifeoma's secret love affair continued. Hidden from the world, they stole moments whenever they could, enjoying each other's company, while Ejiro remains oblivious. Like all secrets, their luck was bound to run out. One afternoon, Ejiro decided to visit a friend, planning to spend the day away from home before leaving. She gave Ifeoma a set of instructions. Ifeoma, Ejiro said sharply, a voice as cool as ever, "I'm going to see a friend. When I come back, I expect to see the housing order. Make sure the children are fed and the house clean. Understand?" Ifeoma nodded. After she left, not quite long, Timmy returned from the farm. His body tired and covered with sweat. His usual routine was to visit Ifeoma's hut as soon as he comes back. He did not think twice. He headed straight there, eager for the stirring moment of passion they have been sharing. They were lost in their intimacy, unaware of the world around them. But as fate would have it, Ejiro decided to return home earlier than planned. Feeling an odd sense of unease, she walked back into the compound, surprised to find the compound quieter than usual. Her feet led her to the maid's quarter. As she approached the door to Ifeoma's room, she had the urge that something didn't feel right. Slowly, she pushed the door open. The sight that greeted her was like a slap to her face. There in the maid's room were Timmy and Ifeoma, caught red-handed. She caught them having intimacy together. The shock left Ejiro frozen in place. "Timmy? Ifeoma? What is this?" Her voice trembling with disbelief. The betrayal hit her like a thunderclap, the full weight of it crashing down on her. The man she loved, the father of her children, in the arms of another woman, the very maid she has trusted in her own home. Timmy felt no guilt or remorse for what he has done. He stood there unmoved, while Ifeoma, the maid, was terrified. She began to beg, pleading with Ejiro for her forgiveness. But Ejiro was beyond listening. With her shaking hands, she rushed into the room and started packing Ifeoma's belongings, throwing them outside. "Get out of my house immediately." But just as she wants to walk out, Timmy hold her. "She can't leave," he said coldly. It's better you leave than her. She is important to me now than you. Ejiro was weak, as those words cut through her like a knife. What? The most important people in my life right now are my children. And the maid, Timmy interrupted. You can't even cook. You can't even take care of the house. Everything depends on her. She's better than you. I will continue to choose her over you. Any day, anytime. You started all of this. You denied me access to your body. What did you expect? Tears dripped down Ejiro's face as she listened to her husband's cruel words. Her heart shattered and the pain was unbearable. The realization that her husband had chosen a maid over her made her feel she had lost everything. In her despair, she began to plot her revenge. She couldn't bear to live in a world where her husband betrayed her like this. With the maid she trusted, one evening, Ejiro pretended as if everything was normal. She calmly demanded Ifeoma to bring her children's food to her room. And Ifeoma did as she instructed, unaware of the darkness in Ejiro's heart. Ejiro added snapper poison to their food, both to her own plate and the children's food. She had decided if she could not live in this world where her husband was so cruel, neither would her children. As Ejiro eats, the pains in her heart felt unbearable. She called the children to her room, handing them the poisoned fruit. They all ate without question. The three of them, both Ejiro and her two children, fell unconscious. When Ifeoma returned to pick up the plates, she was horrified with what she saw. She screamed in terror, and the noise invited Timmy. He rushed into the room, lying lifeless on the floor. Before Ejiro executed her plans, she left a letter for her husband. I'm sorry for what I've done. The letter read, I couldn't bear to live with your betrayal. Please forgive me for my actions. Have decided to leave this world. The news of Ejiro and her children's death spread like a wildfire all through the village. The tragedy shocked everyone to the core. Timmy, now left with nothing, but full of regret. Though it was too late, his action have cost him everything. His wife, his children, and even peace of mind. The moral lesson of the story: hunger and betrayal can lead to destructive actions if not dealt with carefully. In moments of pains, it's important to seek help and guidance before making decisions that cannot be undone. Every action has consequences, and in the end, it's the innocent who suffers the most. Thank you for staying tuned to the end. I hope you enjoyed and learned to control your anger, to prevent nasty actions filled with regret, as Timmy and Ejiro did. See you in my next video. Bye!